Rob is the CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan. We know them as SBAM. And Rob, hello, and welcome to our our broadcast today, all over Michigan.
Good morning, Dave. Looks like you've got a pretty good gig going there.
I do. It's funny. It's not the way I ever envisioned doing a broadcast. I'm doing this on my iPad with a computer and then some radio gear, all patched and bundled together. But it's a new time and a new era in broadcasting, as it is everywhere, and in the restaurant business. And Rob, you would be so happy if you were here on this very important day. I'm at the Grill in Sylvan Lake, and they've done a great job. Vicky has done an amazing job, the proprietor here. She took the time when things were slow, totally renovated, came up with some really great ideas. I think one of the best ideas, I love sharing this with people, is the intermediary tables where they're keeping their social distancing. All the restaurants are finding creative ways to identify that those tables are not tables to be sat at. Here they have a thing called the COVID monster, and it's this really intimidating stuffed animal that sits on all of the tables that are not to be occupied at the time. So it's just fun, creative. But Rob, how do you feel on this day when retail and restaurants, just like the one I'm at this morning, are opening back up?
Well, it's a big day. It's an important day. Obviously, we're very pleased that we're making progress and opening things back up. I know that small business owners all across the state are prepared to do what they need to do to make it safe to be in their place of business, to be either an employee or a customer, and really a high level of confidence that they know what to do and are prepared to do it. They just need permission to get going. I will say restaurants are a particularly difficult business to run at 50%. So I think one of the things we have to do is get past this, 50% occupancy or 50% capacity issue pretty quickly, because I've had a number of restaurant owners who've said to me, if you want to lose a lot of money in the restaurant business, run your business at half capacity. And so this sort of mandatory limit on how many customers you can have in your place, we've got to get even to the next phase where we're beyond that.
Rob Fowler is the CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan, known as SBAM. And Rob, you're right. I think of restaurateurs, and they're always trying to get that one extra table turn at the beginning or the end of the day. It's that senior discount. Come on in early at 5, and all the things that restaurants have done over the years to get another table turn, because their opportunity to be profitable is all based on their floor space. So I get it. So do you and SBAM think that this 50% number that's been imposed is artificial, is not practical? Let me just shut up and not put any more words in your mouth. What are your thoughts about it, and what would you like to see the governor do?
Well, it is artificial. It's a number. I think we've been trying to chase data with this entire thing, and the truth is there are parts of our state under the same 50% order that haven't had a single case of COVID, a single case, not alone a single death, but are running their restaurant at 50%. And so it's a number, and it's not one that can last for the long term. And so one of the things we're asking, for communities to consider is thinking about, particularly anybody who's got outside seating options, or sometimes you have to have a permit to do that. Sometimes you can't go too far out onto the sidewalk. We're asking local governments to really relax the ability for a business, a restaurant, to take its customers outside. And obviously that's weather dependent, but can you convert your parking lot into outdoor seating? That's capacity expansion that may well allow a restaurant to be profitable during this period of time. So and we're seeing in some communities across the state, they closed off streets where there's a number of restaurants, and they just literally allow the the restaurants to take over the street, that is adding capacity in a way that really, really can help.
Rob, is that what you're hearing from around the state? Vicky wants to invest, put some cement, create some new areas and seating outside. Is that what you're hearing from other restaurants as well?
It is, and Vicky, I would say that sounds like even a longer term kind of solution. What I'm hearing is a number of businesses who would just give me for the next 4 weeks the ability to expand into my parking lot, doing something temporarily like that.
Well, whatever. Either way, these restaurants, they certainly need it. They need more table space. And Rob, back to you. I think this creates a whole new buzz for places in our backyard and our listening area, like downtown Birmingham, downtown Rochester, Ferndale, Royal Oak. Any of these right here in Sylvan Lake, it's a whole new way to enjoy your community. And it probably would have been difficult to get the Liquor Control Commission to loosen up some of the rules, but why not take advantage of the situation, right? And see what we
Well,
can do.
and I think we keep talking about what is the new normal. And I don't know that we know what the new normal is going to look like, but I do think it's going to make us think differently about space, about these issues of occupancy, and I think it's going to cause local communities, zoning boards, licensing places, regulatory agencies to have to loosen up a little bit if we're going to have successful businesses, because space is going to have to be totally rethought. How long are we going to have to continue to do distancing? I've seen some projections we may be into 2021 or 22 before we could literally go back to what we thought of as normal before. So this is all about exploring what the new normal is, and I think we've got to rethink rules and regulations and laws even.
Were you happy to see other industries opening up? We got the news on Friday that the salons and theaters and other things are starting to open up. We're making progress here. Is there any need anymore, at least for the short term, until we see another spike, for any of these orders anymore, other than just do what we've all learned to do in this new normal: social distance, wear the masks, be careful? Is that enough for the people of the state of Michigan right now, Rob?
Well, we're the last state in the country where you cannot get a haircut. We're among the very few where you can't go to work out in a gym. Now, there's a timeline for that, but the reality is, if you're a theater owner, you may not survive this at all. If you are a gym owner, you may not survive this at all. So that's always been the counterbalancing. I think we know what to do about distancing, PPE. Those rules are pretty clear, and I think we can do them in any environment, in any business. So we've got to get back to business. I keep saying this is going to be like coming out after a hurricane and figuring out what the damage is. When we can finally get everybody back in business, and then we're going to understand who didn't make it at all, because I think we haven't discovered that yet. I think there are going to be some empty storefronts that is going to surprise some people.
Well, that would be truly unfortunate, but I think that there's a lot of potential for that unless all the stars are aligned perfectly. He is Rob Fowler, the CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan. I'm Dave Scott. We're broadcasting out here in Oakland County with you today. We're at the Grill in Sylvan Lake, and I hope you take an opportunity today to get out and support the local establishments, either here or anywhere across our listening area. And if you're doing okay financially, why not double tip for the next week, just to help out all of the people that are working in these restaurants? It's not only the people like Vicky here who owns the Grill, it's all the people that are coming back to work now that have been suffering. And Rob, to that point, making news headlines the last couple of days for the poor employees around the state of Michigan, many of them trying to get unemployment. It's been very difficult for them to get their unemployment checks. And the state and I'm not here picking the state today, it might seem like it, but the state also had to freeze 340,000 unemployment checks here in the state of Michigan because of concerns over over fraud. And, that's just a double whammy for people that have been laid off, are laid off, and hopefully coming back to work. But it's been very difficult for employees during this whole time.
Well, I think we have an unemployment insurance system that was never intended to have this kind of capacity running through it. The amount of money that's flowing both to individuals through unemployment, to businesses through the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, there is fraught with potential fraud, and so the people who would take advantage of this kind of environment, surely there is a special place in hell for them if they try during this period of time to defraud the very people who are needing help. That said, there's a lot of help coming into the state of Michigan. 113,000 businesses in our state got the PPP. It's $9.7 billion of income that will come into our state. Most of it will be forgiven, so it will be considered to be a grant, and that will have an effect. And I think while I worry about the loss of sales, we did a survey recently, and 86% of our members who responded to it said they expect to have a loss of sales at least 25%. So that's a bad year by any count. And but I do think the PPP will have saved a lot of companies from going out of business. So it sort of is coming down to that in many ways.
Well, just from personal experience, Rob, my company was able to apply for and receive a PPP loan. It was extraordinarily helpful. We are still sifting through the paperwork. We're not the only ones. It's a little bit complicated to make sure that you get as much of that money back. And the rules seem to be changing, hopefully favorably for all of us. But no, it's really good. It's been very, very helpful for many people. The question is, are the businesses going to be able to figure out what to do in the backside of it? And I fear for a lot of businesses, especially the smaller businesses, they could get themselves in trouble if you're not talking to your CPA or your financial expert, especially if you're trying to do all this and figure it out your own. You have your hands full. Are you hearing that from others? And I'm sure SBAM is going to be working along with many other organizations to make sure the resources are there for people to figure this out. But it ain't easy.
Well, I think you're exactly right. It's a complicated transaction, both applying for the PPP in the first place, and actually there's a couple of other resources that we're encouraging businesses to take a look at. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL, is another one. But and then you have to spend it on the things that it's intended for and apply for forgiveness on the other end. We've done a couple of webinars that are on our website, and anybody's willing, all of it's available to any small business state by bringing the experts together. So, yes, we would encourage you to talk to your own CPA, your own lawyer, but we know that there are a lot of small companies that just don't have a regular relationship with a certified financial advisor or CPA. And so we're bringing those kind of experts by way of webinar and other resources on our website so that small businesses can navigate this on their own if they choose to. I think they will always find that, now you've got to apply the rules to my business. And that is something you really need somebody sitting beside you to do. And I don't think there's a lot of gotcha in the forgiveness piece of this. In other words, I think that Congress has made it fairly easy to get forgiveness, and I think they just made it a little bit easier. Their intent is for it to be forgiven as long as it's spent on payroll, as long as it's spent on eligible expenses that are pretty clear and pretty necessary for a business. I think there'd be a high degree of forgiveness of that PPP loan.
Well, we're hoping so. And I know the people that got that money are thinking of it. They're not really thinking of it intellectually as a loan. I know I didn't. I thought of it, okay, this is money the government is giving me, but I got to do this, I got to do that. And I appreciate your optimism, Rob Fowler, and how this is all going to turn out. I think it's going to turn out pretty good as well. Again, I hate to keep coming back with things that are a challenge, but maybe a final big whammy for small businesses here in the state of Michigan are going to be all those businesses that supply and service government, because the state government, the schools, our municipalities, all around the state of Michigan, our local municipalities, they've got some tough times ahead of them as well. And are you concerned about the small businesses that service government here in the state of Michigan and the impact uh, clearly impending budget cuts are going to have on them?
I am. But, uh, relatively speaking, uh, government depends on business more than business depends on government. And so when the business community comes back and comes back strong, that's what will bring our government back financially. That's why they are hurt so bad, because of this. The shutdowns means there's no business revenue, there's no personal income revenue to the state, and to our local government. So, and there's been a lot of tax forgiveness because there had to be. Um, so I think the way it comes back is when the businesses get back on their feet and come back strong. That'll bring our government back, and then those businesses who do business with the government will benefit from that. I don't know many whose entire business is serving state or local or federal government. There are some for sure, but I don't know many companies who that's all their eggs are in that basket.
Yeah, well,
So
that's
it's a very
good.
diverse.
So I appreciate your optimism, and you're right. I mean, it isn't government that's leading business; it's business that's leading government. Sometimes we forget that, but I appreciate that, Rob. You're absolutely right. Thank you very much for being with us again today. I really appreciate it. Anything else that's on your radar that you're keeping an eye on today that we should be aware of?
Well, let me just give you one other maybe optimistic note. In the same survey that you and I have just been talking about, 90% of those who responded said we are ready to keep our workplaces safe. We have what we need in terms of PPE. We have what we need in terms of an understanding and a plan for our business. Uh, I think the whole idea that we have to keep these businesses closed because they can't keep their employees safe, can't keep their customers safe, is just wrong. It's wrong on its face. And a lot of our members are saying, "Let me go. Let me get back at it, and I will follow the rules, and I will take care of customers and employees."
Well, we're moving in that direction. I think it took a little bit too long for almost everybody, and but we're moving in that direction. We are rolling down the tracks, and now, as it's a good day to remind everybody too that this just keeps going. If everybody just does their part, you wash your hands, you keep your social distancing, you wear your mask. Mine is right here. I just took it off for broadcasting, and you do your part. It's all on us. And but I think we're up to it. And these restaurants that we're going to go into again, if it's anything like what we saw in Northern Michigan, they've all done a fantastic job, and I expect great results today. And I'm also encouraged, Rob, on the way out by just the way the economic markets seem to be responding over the past couple of weeks. If you look at Wall Street, they think that the economy is going to boom back. So, if you're looking for something to make you feel good today, go out and have a bite, maybe have a cocktail later on, turn on CNBC. It won't be depressing today, and have a great day. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you taking time.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Rob Fowler is the CEO of the Small Business Association of Michigan, SBAM, doing so much during these difficult times to help businesses just like yours.